Hi, it's Mandy with Worshipful Living, and today we have been talking about Exodus, and we're in chapter 2 this week. We've read chapters 1 through 5. But the chapter that I really wanted to focus on was chapter 2. As you may have known from either reading the post ahead or maybe clicking on some of my other links, my family has a passion for adoption. And we are in the process currently of adopting a child and a baby. And so each day I am praying for birth moms, women who are giving birth, who are making an ultimate sacrifice, really in their lives to do what's best for their child. And a few years ago, even maybe 10 or 15, maybe even 20 years ago, we didn't really want to talk much about birth moms, the choices that they were making, because in reality, we really didn't know a lot about them, and adoption was a very closed, hushed, not talked about topic. But now we are in an age where obviously we have the whole world at our fingertips because of the World Wide Web. And with that in mind, adoption has changed. It's gone from being very closed to very open. And so now, as we go through this adoption process, we are praying for these birth moms, and we are investing in their lives. And some people even have open relationships with their birth moms, where they send pictures of the baby, and where they interact. The birth mom will get to see their child occasionally. And so it's very different. But in reality, that's kind of what we see in Exodus chapter 2. We see a woman who gives birth to a little boy in a time when giving birth to a little boy was probably the last thing you wanted to see. Because the Pharaoh didn't want to see the Israelites grow, as we saw in chapter 1. That worried him. And so he wanted to shrink their numbers. So he thought by shrinking the men, the male population, that would help. And so he had put out a decree that all the boy babies should be killed. Well, Moses' mother, who we don't hear what her name is in this story, but when we later on, you do find out what her name is. And her name is Amram, or Jochebed. That was her mother and father, Jochebed and Amram. And we know this because we know the lineage of Aaron, because he would become a priest, and Aaron was Moses' brother, and we know Miriam, and so the story goes on later, so we were able to kind of backtrack. So we find out a little bit about this lady, and what we see is that she decides she's going to hide her baby, and she hides him for 3 months. But after 3 months, she knew it was going to start being obvious that baby Moses was not a girl baby, that he was indeed a boy, and she just couldn't see her son be put to death. And that's where a lot of birth moms are coming at. They have a sense of right and wrong, and maybe they have made a wrong choice in pursuing things that would get them in a place where they would get pregnant, but not all of them do. Some are getting pregnant while on birth control. Some are getting pregnant in marriages and they just can't afford another child. Some are getting pregnant because of rape. So the sin is not theirs. So there's a lot of reasons why women are giving up children for adoption, and they don't feel right murdering babies. And just as wrong as it felt to this mom back here in Moses' time, it is still wrong today. And so she didn't want to see her baby murdered. And so she did what was best. And what was best was hard. But she made a loving choice to put Moses in the little boat, the little ark, and send him down the river. Now, we know that the story follows that, Moses' adoptive mom is in great position. She's Pharaoh's daughter. And so Moses gets the privilege of being Pharaoh's grandchild. And, the other thing that happens is Miriam, Moses' sister, goes back and tells the princess, she says, look, my mom, I have somebody who can come and nurse this baby since you can't. And so Moses also got to be raised by his mother in some regards. And so Moses' mom didn't just give him up once, she gave him up twice. because after the days of nursing were done, she would have to say goodbye again. And we don't know if there's ever a reconciliation after that. We do know that Moses knew his heritage, and that, later on in the story, he gets up, he knows where he comes from, and he proceeds to help with getting the children of Israel out of the bondage that they were in the Egyptians. But what I really want to focus on was the loving choice. And all moms make loving choices. Mothers, every day, whether you are an adoptive mom, or you are a biological mom, or you are a birth mom, or grandmom, or stepmom, you are making loving choices each and every day for your kids. And they're not always easy. And, sometimes you have to go to work, and that's a sacrifice, because you want to be at home. You want to be, keeping your kids at home. You want to homeschool. Maybe you want to, you're okay with them in public school, but you wish you could be at home and be the mom that gets to go to all the parties. That's a sacrifice. Maybe you're the mom that is at home and you wish you could be at work so that your kids could play sports or be in the band or be a cheerleader or something like that, but your family can't afford it because you've made a sacrifice to stay home. Maybe you can relate to Moses' mom, and maybe you're a birth mom. Maybe you've given a child up for adoption, and you know what a loving choice that was because you did it because you loved your child. Maybe you're an adoptive mom who's loving somebody that didn't come from your womb, or a stepmom, and you are every day choosing to love someone that God placed in your life, not through birth, but through choice. And so as moms, we are making choices every day, and every day is a sacrifice, and every day we have to put our children in a place of doing what's right for them, and we have to put them before the Lord. And no matter what, we all trust our children to someone else, whether it's the Sunday school teacher or a grandparent or a friend if they're spending the night at a friend's house, or a teacher. We all have to trust that God is going to do the best things for our kids and that He has a plan for them. And that's what Moses' mom really was putting her faith in. She had incredible faith that the God of the universe was going to protect Moses, and that He was going to make His way sure, and that He would do something mighty in Moses' life. And what an awesome example. She did not know that she had birthed somebody who would help bring the children of Israel out of bondage. And, we don't know what we're preparing our kids for, whether we're preparing them to be moms and dads, or the next CEO of a major company, or a pastor or a missionary. We don't know what we're preparing our kids for, but each and every one of us are preparing our kids because God has a plan for them. They are a reward from God, and no matter what, they are a blessing. And so we need to make sure that we are putting our trust in God, putting our faith there, and that we realize that the sacrifices that we are making are going to make our children be the children that God would intend them to be. And we have to leave that in the Lord's hands. And it's hard because we only see sometimes the stubborn or the hard times. And, I don't know that Moses' mom, I don't know where she was, when Moses finally got to come back and lead the children of Israel out of Egypt. I hope she was there. I hope she got to see the blessing of her sacrifice. And if not, I know that the Lord indeed blessed her for her sacrifice. So this week, as you are studying your scriptures and as you're discipling and pouring into your children, remember that is an act of worship to God. And that if you are a birth mom out there and you or if you're pregnant and you're scared, know that your child can still be placed in a loving home where the will of God will be taught to them, and that they too can do great things for God, and that you are making a loving choice by choosing to give them life. So worship God with your life.